Hello and welcome to GameRules.com. My name is Mark, and today I'm going to teach you how to play 3 Up, 3 Down. This is a hand-shedding card game for 2 to 6 players, in which players are trying to get rid of the cards from their hand and from their 3 Up, 3 Down piles. Let's dive in and learn how to play.
3 Up, 3 Down consists of an 84 card deck. There are 3 different colors in this deck. Both blue and orange go numbers 1 through 10 with a clear and a clear +1 card. The green colored cards go from number 1 through 10 with a clear, clear +1, and a clear +2. To begin setup of the game, determine a dealer. That person shuffles the cards and then deals 3 cards face down to each player. Players may not look at these 3 cards. Next, deal 6 cards to each player. Players may look at the cards that are dealt to them. However, they should not let their opponent see these cards. From that 6, you will choose 3 cards to put on top of your 3 down cards. Once you've done that, you will have formed your 3 up, 3 down pile. When setup is complete, each player will have their 3 up, 3 down piles in front of them, as well as a hand of 3 cards. The rest of the deck is placed face down to form the draw pile. The player left of the dealer will begin the game. For this 2-player game, we'll have our dealer here at the bottom of the screen, so the player at the top of the screen will go first. The person who is going first begins the discard pile. They may choose any number from their hand and play 1 or more copies of that number to begin the discard pile. They will begin by playing an 8. Once a player has played a card to the discard pile, they end their turn by drawing back up to 3 cards. So if they would have played more than 1, they would have drawn more than 1 to get their hand back to 3 cards. Once a player has drawn, their turn ends and play passes. Now that the discard pile has begun, players will need to play a card from their hand that is equal to or greater than the value of the top card on the discard pile. Again, you may play more than 1 copy of the card if you wish. The rule is that if you have a card that can be played, you must play it. So our player here does have a couple options. They could play their 8 or their 10. So they will go ahead and play their 8 to the pile, ending their turn with a draw, and then play passes to the next player. So what happens if a player is unable to play a card from their hand that is equal to or greater than the top discard? Well, that player must pick up the entire discard pile and add it to their hand. The next player would begin a new discard pile. If a player's hand is ever more than 3 cards at the end of their turn, they do not draw. You will only draw at the end of your turn if your hand size goes below 3. There are ways to clear the discard pile from the game. The first is if 3 of the same number is ever played to the discard pile, that pile is cleared. So here it's the player at the top of the screen's turn, and they're going to go ahead and play that 8 because it's the only option they have. 3 8s have been played in a row, so the discard pile is removed from the game. The next player would begin a new one. Now that rule goes into effect whether the same player plays 3 copies of a number or if 3 of the same number are played on consecutive turns. As soon as 3 of the same number are played, that pile is cleared away. The discard pile can also be cleared away using these clear cards. Clear cards are always considered higher value than the other numbers, so they are always eligible for play. If a person decides to play a regular clear card, the discard pile is removed from the game, and the next player will begin a new discard pile. If a player decides to play a clear +1, the clear pile is cleared away, and then that player gets to discard again. Of course, they draw back up to 3 before doing so, and then they begin the new discard pile. And if a player decides to play a clear +2, they clear the pile, and then they get to play 2 cards from their hand. So they must draw back up to 3, and then play 2 cards. Rules for playing a card that is greater than or equal to the previous one do apply. They should then draw back up to 3 and end their turn. Rules regarding the clear +2 are a little different if it is played from the 3 up, 3 down pile, and we'll talk about that when we get to that part of the game. So play like that will continue with players playing cards from their hand those cards being equal to or greater than the value of the top card on the discard pile. They may play more than one copy of a number if they wish. If a player is unable to do that, they must pick up the discard pile and add it to their hand. Players may clear the pile away by playing 3 of the same number or by using the clear cards. At some point in the game, the draw pile will run empty, and that will move us on to the second phase of the game. And that is when players will be able to start playing from their 3-up, 3-down pile. So let's go ahead and fast forward and see what that looks like. Once the draw pile is empty, players are now in phase 2, and they are working on getting all of the cards out of their hand. Then and only then will they be able to play cards from their 3-up, 3-down piles. So play will continue. We'll have our player here play the 2 6s. And then we'll play this 7. And then they'll play 2 7s. That clears the pile. Our next player begins the discard pile with a 4. And now, at this point, both of our players are out of cards in their hand. They may both begin playing from their 3-up, 3-down piles. Now, all the same rules apply. They must play cards that are equal to or greater than the top card on the discard pile. It is our player here at the bottom of the screen's turn, so they will go ahead and play their 6. The 3 down cards cannot be flipped until all of the 3 up cards are played. Our player here at the top of the screen is going to play their 8. This player plays their 10. And now this player plays their clear +1. They have played all of their 3 up cards, so they're going to go ahead and flip over their 3 down cards. Our player here at the bottom of the screen is unable to play a card, so they must pick up the discard pile, and now they have a hand of cards again. So if this happens, you are unable to play from your 3-up, 3-down piles until you've emptied your hand again. So their turn is over. Our player up here begins the discard pile, so they will play both of their 5s. Our player here is unable to play, so they have to pick up the discard pile, and then our player at the top of the screen wins the game. They were the first to get rid of all of their cards. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is an exception to the rule with the clear +2 when it is being played from the 3-up, 3-down pile. So here we'll have our player at the bottom of the screen take their turn. The clear +2 is the only card they can play. So they clear the pile, and now they must play 2 more cards. Well, the 9 is their only option, so they play that. And then they flip over their 3 down cards. Now you'll notice that all of these cards are lower in value than the 9, so they can't play anything. Well, they must now pick up the 9, and that is now their hand. So they will be unable to play these cards until they get rid of the 9.
And that's how to play 3-up, 3-down. As you can see, it's a fairly simple, family-friendly card game that anybody can enjoy. I really like this take on the hand shedding genre. Needing to get rid of cards from both your hand and the table really ratchets up the tension there at the end. There's a lot of luck involved, but it is a lot of fun to kind of see that roulette wheel finish at the end of the game. Will you be able to play that final card, or are you going to have to pick up the discard pile and start all over? Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more games, I've got a playlist for you right here. And if you'd like to support the channel, be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment down below, give it a thumbs up, all those good things. They really help us out. Until next time, keep on playing.